Let's just jump right in with a question. What do you do when the power goes out, the cell towers go dark, and the internet just vanishes? How do you call for help? How do you even know if your family's okay? Today, we're going to break down a real-world strategy for staying connected when our entire communications infrastructure decides to take a day off.
Now, everything we're about to cover isn't just pulled out of thin air. It's all based on a really comprehensive report from Virtualization Options LLC. They're a Colorado-based technology research and advisory group. So what we're looking at here isn't just theory. It's a well-researched, practical blueprint for resilience.
And why do we need a blueprint like this? Well, get this. In 2024 alone, there were over 6,000 deliberate attacks on critical communications infrastructure. These aren't just random acts of vandalism. We're talking about strategic attempts to cripple the very services we depend on for our daily lives.
And that leads us to a pretty sobering reality. You know, our connection to the world is incredibly fragile. It's like a perfect storm of aging equipment, these targeted attacks we just mentioned, and of course, climate-related disasters. All of it is pushing our networks to the absolute breaking point. And this problem is hitting way closer to home than you might think. A staggering 90%, that's 90, of US 911 centers had outages in just the last year. I mean, when the one number you're supposed to call in your absolute worst moment isn't reliable, you know the whole system is in serious trouble.
Here's a perfect example of just how fast things can fall apart. There was a case study of a huge power outage that hit Spain and Portugal. The cell tower backup batteries, they started dying after just 8 hours. And by the 12-hour mark, internet and mobile traffic had plunged by 90%. It's a textbook case of a cascading failure. One thing goes down, and it takes everything else with it.
So yeah, that's the problem. It's big, and honestly, it's pretty scary. But there is a solution. So let's walk through what this report calls the Resilience Blueprint. It's a multi-layered strategy for building your own really robust communications plan.
You know, the core idea here is actually pretty simple. Don't ever rely on a single point of failure. The whole strategy is built in layers, right? It starts with a solid foundation of just preparation and training. And from there, we build up with different kinds of tech, multiple backup systems, and gear that's totally independent, all to get the highest reliability possible.
All right, let's start at the ground level with what we can call your local lifelines. We're talking about technologies that just plain work when nothing else does. They let you talk to your immediate neighbors, your local community, without needing a single cell tower or internet cable in sight.
Okay, the backbone here is good old land mobile radio. And as you can see from this chart, you've got a few options. FRS and MERS, they're license-free, which is great, and they're perfect for simple, short-range chats within a couple of miles. But if you want real power and range, GMRS is the clear standout. For a $35 license that covers your entire family for 10 years, you get up to 50 watts of power. That lets you connect over much larger areas.
And believe me, this isn't just a what-if scenario. Take the Texas winter storm. Power and cell service were out for millions, and people like Maria Rodriguez were using GMRS networks to coordinate things like warming centers and getting medical aid to people. As she said, it literally saved lives. The takeaway here is crystal clear. This simple technology is a proven lifesaver.
Okay, now for a really fascinating piece of newer tech called Meshtastic. Think of it like this. You're creating your own private, completely off-grid texting network. It uses these inexpensive, low-power radios that you connect to your smartphone. And here's the magic part. Every single device on the network acts as a relay, automatically extending the range for everybody else.
The advantages in an emergency are just incredible. The battery can last for over a week on one charge. Every new person who joins actually makes the network stronger and extends its reach. And the devices themselves, they cost around $50. So for a low cost, you get secure, encrypted messaging, all using the familiar keyboard on your own phone.
Okay, we've covered local comms. Let's move up a layer and talk about keeping your internet connection alive. This is so key for everything from Wi-Fi calling on your cell phone to just getting critical information from the outside world.
Rule number 1 of internet resilience: never rely on just one provider. I mean, look at this chart. It's based on a Midwest flood scenario, and the difference is just staggering. Businesses with only one ISP were down for an average of 76 hours. That's more than 3 days. But those with a backup, just over 4 hours. Having a secondary connection, say your main cable line plus a cellular hotspot, creates some seriously powerful redundancy.
But what if all the ground-based infrastructure is gone? The fiber lines are cut, the cell towers are down, the whole shebang. That's when you look up. That's where satellite comes in, and specifically Starlink. Because it's a constellation of satellites in low Earth orbit, it's completely independent of what's happening on the ground. All you need is a terminal, a clear view of the sky, and of course some power, and you've got high-speed internet.
And its impact has been proven time and time again. After Hurricane Ida just wiped out communications along the Gulf Coast, emergency teams deployed Starlink terminals. They provided a connection for over 32,000 people and 18 critical facilities long before the local grid was ever repaired.
So we've got all this amazing technology, right? We have our radios, our backup internet, but it is all totally useless without the most important layers of all: people, power, and practice. This is the foundation that makes every other piece of this puzzle actually work.
Take a look at this chart. You'd think the #1 cause of internet disruptions would be some sophisticated cyber attack or maybe just equipment failure, right? Nope, it's simple power loss. Your state-of-the-art communication plan is completely worthless if you can't plug it in.
Communications resilience absolutely depends on power resilience. It's that simple. This means having an uninterruptible power supply, or a UPS, for your router so it doesn't just die the second the lights flicker. It means having portable power stations and solar chargers for your radios and satellite terminals. If you don't have a power plan, you don't really have a communications plan.
And finally, practice. You have to practice. A recent emergency drill out in the Midwest found huge problems. They had equipment that didn't work together, big gaps in their radio coverage, and people who just flat out didn't know how to use the gear they'd been given. The director of the drill said the gaps they found would have been, in his words, devastating during a real crisis. You have to test your plan before you need it.
So that really brings us to the final, most important question. Building a resilient communications plan, it isn't just about the technology. It's about creating human connections that can withstand a crisis. The time to prepare is now, not when the lights go out. So, when the network fails, will your voice be heard?